It was not a great weekend for the lock of the night predictions last week as we went 1-2 or 1-3, I believe the record was, as we dropped to 7-4 for minus 3.48 units and minus 6% ROI. In terms of the UFC's lock of the night prediction that we had, it was the Robert Burchak and Ihor Potieria fight to go under 1.5 rounds, and it seemed like Potieria had no intention at all of trying to finish that fight early, as he has tried to do in most of his fights, especially with him going down to 185 pounds and trying to keep his stamina and cardio above water, it seemed like. And even Burchak, I wasn't as impressed as I thought I would have been with him. His regional tape suspected that he was a little bit more aggressive, would be able to land his right down the middle a little bit more effectively. That did not come to fruition. Kind of kicking myself in terms of taking the chalky total on two relatively newcomers to the UFC. Obviously not Potieria so much, but more so the Burchak side. When I had such confidence in Dan Ige and Haider Emil earlier on in the card as well. So, getting away from the more reliable fighters on the money line and rather, settling for chalky unders on guys that haven't really been competing at this level for all that long. So really need to shore that aspect of it up. I've been doing pretty good with my money line spots, so I need to stick to that and not let some of these lines that are a little bit closer scare me off too much, especially when I have as much confidence as I have in them. So I believe it was the first losing weekend of the year as well. So just a little blip on the radar. So hopefully we can get back onto the winning track this weekend. Obviously, I got another 3 lock of the night candidates for you guys for this weekend's UFC 298 card. I was going to say 289. 298. Obviously, big featherweight title fight in the main event. That's, high stakes there with Volkanovski and Topuria. But I got 3 other spots that I'm looking at as potential lock of the night candidates. Again, these are just candidates. If you're looking for what my official lock of the night is going to be for UFC 298, make sure you guys check out the Patreon page, as I've already posted it there for the folks that have been supporting me through there. So make sure you guys check that out. Not only do you get that, but you get a ton of other great content for all the UFC cards coming up, but not to mention some regional promotions as well. We got the PFL Contender Series, KSW, which also goes down this weekend, ACA, Cage Warriors, LFA, and OKTAGON MMA are all covered on the Patreon page, so make sure you guys check that out. All right, let's not waste too much more time. Let's get right into the 3 lock of the night candidates that I have. First of which is going to be Danny Barlow, who comes in at minus 190 as he takes on Josh Quinlan. Now, Barlow is a UFC newcomer here, but this guy has legitimate skills and discipline and technique when it comes to the striking realm, which is interesting considering he comes from a wrestling background, but has used his southpaw stance to really fluster his opponents and eventually put them away. Out of his 7 victories, 5 of them have come inside the distance, with the 2 that actually went the distance were solid performances, showcasing that he can harness that power over 15 minutes, hurting his opponent repeatedly and going out there and still getting his hand raised on the scorecards. This guy seems very talented and very difficult for opponents to deal with, considering the length that he brings to the table with his 80-inch reach, but also his ability to manage distance and range and find that kill shot with his left hand down the pipe with the speed and accuracy that it hits with. And I expect him to be able to do that here against Quinlan, who might be looking to wrestle to change things up from his last performance where he took his first ever professional loss against a long and lengthy striker similar to Barlow, but Barlow carries a little bit more power, may not throw as much output as Trey Waters, who was Josh Quinlan's last opponent. So I expect Quinlan to possibly look for a grapple-heavy approach and utilize his BJJ black belt, but I don't think that's going to be able to work considering the wrestling background that we've seen from Barlow in the past. Barlow should be able to keep this fight upright and eventually find the kill shot within 10 minutes of this fight going down. Second lock of the night candidate I have is going to be Amanda Lemos, who comes in at minus 125, going up against the short notice Mackenzie Dern. Obvious discrepancy here in the striking realm, as Lemos is far superior in that realm with the power and the precision that she hits with as well. The issue is obviously going to be the massive advantage that Dern has once this fight hits the mat. However, with Dern completing takedowns at a 14% clip, you got to believe that Lemos should be able to maintain the distance here, landing her power shots and keeping Dern at bay, and eventually landing that kill shot as well within the first 10 minutes of this matchup, as Dern continuously tries to close the pocket and get the fight to the ground. We've seen Dern try to do that, and it's actually worked against fighters like Angela Hill, but Hill does not provide as much threats in the striking range, especially with the power that she, or lack of power that she possesses. But we saw it play out in the Jessica Andrade fight for Dern, where she was unable to get in on the hips of Andrade, and she suffered from the striking discrepancy in that matchup, and eventually got finished in that second round. I suspect this fight should play out similarly to that, with Lemos finding that finish, like I said, probably by round 2. The third and final lock of the night candidate I have for you guys is going to be the chalkiest of the 3, but still a pretty damn good spot in my opinion, with Merab Dvalishvili coming in at minus 220 against former flyweight and bantamweight champion Henry Cejudo. Merab Dvalishvili is on a solid run right now and probably could have already fought for the title had it not been for the fact that his training partner and close friend Aljamain Sterling was the champion. Now with Sterling no longer holding the crown, this is a opportune moment for Dvalishvili to get back on track and try to position himself for a title fight, especially if he's able to get a win here over Cejudo. We know what Dvalishvili does very well. That's grind, that's pressure, that's high activity, high output, and opponents have no idea how to deal with it. Even though he's not the smoothest, technically speaking, in the wrestling or the striking, it's just his ability to put a pace and pressure on his opponents that they're unable to keep up with that allows him to get off on his own offense while his opponent is trying to figure out how to get off on their own offense and are just focused on defending. The Petr Yan fight is a perfect example of Dvalishvili at his best, especially against a high-level opponent like he did that against, in terms of Petr Yan being a former bantamweight champion. Cejudo will likely have all the technical advantages in this matchup, but I don't suspect him getting off on much of his own success, as you'll be wondering what Dvalishvili is going to be throwing at him next. So give me Dvalishvili here to grind this fight out and pick up a win and possibly position himself as the next title challenger for the bantamweight division. There you guys go. Top 3 lock of the night candidates for UFC 298. If you guys are trying to figure out which one I actually went with, the Patreon folks already know what it is, so make sure you guys check that out. Link for that is in the description below, or drop your own lock of the night candidates in the comment section. Let me know what you guys are thinking and what you guys think about the plays that I just dropped as well. I will see you guys later today for the top 3 dog of the night candidates. See you guys then. Peace.